Feel like every morning you wake up with a quiet thrill, as if life itself is leaning in to tell you a secret that is only for you. It stops being hard to compare things. There's no longer the old tug-of-war between who you are and who you should be. Instead, there's a calm certainty. You're right where you should be. Many mystics call this felt shift the golden age. It's not a date on a birth certificate, but an inner dawn when purpose, self-acceptance, and insight come together in a single stream of light. Carl Jung called this turning point individuation. It's when the conscious mind finally reaches out to touch the soul's deepest parts that can't be seen. From the outside, nothing big may change. You still have to pay the bills, make coffee, and answer emails. But on the inside, the landscape changes. You start to notice small signs of growth. Conversations that used to drain you now teach you something important. Everyday walks feel like pilgrimages, and dreams that have been put off for a long time knock on the door of possibility. This flowering of awareness is the golden age, when all experiences, good and bad, are used to make people more real. It usually happens around middle age, when the masks we made to stay alive start to feel heavy. When you're looking for approval, things like success, status, and even relationships can suddenly seem empty, like gold cages hiding a restless heart. Jung saw this as a disquest instead of a crisis. I'm assuming you meant disquiet or disquieting. If disc was meant, please explain. The soul stirs because it's ready to live life to the fullest, to trade praise for alignment and timetables for meaning. You have a feeling that the best part of your story is still to come, written by a wiser and braver you. 3 things define this era: a greater awareness of oneself, a kinder approach to flaws, and a strong desire to take action that matters. This is the time of year to gather the lessons you've learned in the first half of your life and plant the seeds for a bigger legacy. Your priorities change, like iron filings around a truth magnet, pulling you toward people, places, and projects that are in line with your core values. Stay with me if any part of you wants that new flow of clarity. We're going to talk about 7 clear signs that you're already entering your golden age in the next few minutes. On the other side of each sign is a doorway to a life that isn't based on social norms, but on the quiet authority of your true self. When you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, sometimes the eyes that are staring back at you feel strangely new. You can finally see the landscape inside, its hills of talent, valleys of doubt, and hidden springs of possibility, with gentle clarity instead of criticism. It's like a veil has been lifted. The first clear sign that your golden age has begun is that you are becoming more self-aware. You start to think more deeply about yes and no's before you say them out loud. For example, does this task honor my values, or is it just a way to boost my ego? Is this friendship helpful or just comfortable? Simply focusing on yourself can become a more reliable guide than any praise from others. Elena, a 46-year-old architect, used to judge her success by the number of awards she won and the names of her clients. During the quiet winter break, she felt a strong urge to open up an old college sketchbook. As the graphite lines came out, she felt her shoulders drop and her breath slowed down. In that quiet moment, she realized something that had been buried under her work deadlines for a long time. She was most happy when she was designing community spaces, not high-end condos. In a matter of months, she was able to get her firm to focus on free public projects. Even though her income went down a little, her days were full of meaning that no trophy had ever given her. The mirror she looks at every morning now shows her not only competence, but also consistency. Being self-aware also shows us dark sides we used to hide. You don't prepare for weaknesses. Instead, you look at them with interest. You might see impatience where you used to blame others, or bravery where you used to be afraid of being judged. These ideas are not accusations. They are invitations. Jung said that the psyche wants to be whole, and that to be whole, every part must be met with equal honesty, whether it's flawed, gifted, shy, or angry. As you bring these parts together, your inner critic changes into an inner coach who guides you instead of scolds you. The more you listen to yourself, the less you look for approval from other people. The thrill of getting likes on social media wears off Office gossip tastes bad, and the praise that used to fuel you fades in comparison to the calm satisfaction of living in alignment. This freedom is very good for you. Instead of doing things to get approval, you focus your energy on developing gifts that help your life and the lives of those you touch. Keep an eye out for small changes like more honest journal entries, decisions that feel lighter because they come from the heart, and evenings when silence feels rich instead of empty. They're the first flowers of season that will have lots of fruit. In the next sign, we'll talk about how accepting your flaws instead of trying to get rid of them makes this flowering into something even more beautiful. When you stop trying to fix yourself like a broken thing and start seeing yourself as a work in progress, it's a quiet but powerful moment. You no longer seek perfection like a mirage. Instead, you know that your scars are not signs of failure, but of survival. Etched proof that you have lived, fallen, healed, and risen again. When you start to see your flaws not as problems, but as lessons, this is the sacred turning point where your golden age grows. Marcus, a teacher of 3 kids and 52-year-old father, felt like he was never smart enough, successful enough, or emotionally strong enough. He felt this way for decades. In his mind, there were old stories from when he was a child, when love was conditional and making mistakes made him feel bad. He had been helping his daughter with a school project about being strong when he came across a quote that hit him like lightning. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. He had been patching up his crack for years instead of letting them shine. To his students' surprise, he finally told them the next morning that he wasn't sure of everything. His weakness didn't make him less important. Instead, it opened a door. His students leaned in because they were moved by someone who was willing to be real. His relationship got worse at home. Marcus was able to laugh, forgive, and feel more deeply with each step he took away from perfectionism. The act ended, and the real person came out, flawed, yes, but full of heart. Carl Jung thought that we could become whole when we stop trying to change into someone else and start integrating who we already are. The parts of ourselves that we hide out of shame hold the wisdom we need the most. When we stop fighting these parts of ourselves, we can start to love ourselves whole. This isn't being passive. It's the start of real change. You can grow in truth, not illusion, when you let go of the need to be perfect. You learn that progress isn't always smooth. Healing doesn't always happen in a straight line. And being real has a beauty that perfection can never match. You stop judging your worth by how it compares to others and start seeing your path as sacred in its own right. In the next sign, we'll talk about how this acceptance opens a powerful doorway to purpose, a deeper calling that comes from the real, shining self beneath the polished exterior. Rather than being a blinding spotlight, purpose often comes in the form of morning light peeking through the curtains. It starts as a soft pull in the chest, a whisper that some moments feel amazingly alive and others feel empty. That whisper gets louder once you accept the mess that makes up who you are. You start to see patterns like the things that get you excited, the conversations that make you want to learn more, and the causes that make you cry with joy. It starts to feel like the way your skills and past have come together was never coincidence. We can all make a difference. Isla, a 48-year-old corporate accountant, had long thought that her hobby of herbal gardening on the weekends was not important enough to be worth her time. After years of strict schedules and spreadsheets, she still felt like she was missing something important, and bonuses couldn't make it go away. The boy's eyes lit up with pure wonder one Saturday as she taught her neighbor's child how to blend simple teas. It all made sense. She started volunteering at a community center where she taught seniors who didn't have easy access to health resources about natural remedies. Within a few months, local doctors noticed that her gentle guidance was giving patients more knowledge and confidence. Isla's weekends quickly turned into evenings, and eventually she got a part-time job with a nonprofit that promotes holistic health. The clarity she gained didn't mean she had to quit her job in a big way. It only asked that she change her focus from making money to doing good. At the end of her days, she has a tired body but a bright heart. Carl Jung said that every soul has a natural blueprint, a pattern that wants to show itself through the life we create. That pattern shows up not as a required task, but as a natural fit when you finally listen below the surface of outside expectations. When you make decisions that are based on something basic, they feel lighter. When you see everyday tasks as parts of a bigger, while turning towards service, they take on more meaning. Living with a purpose is very healing. When action is driven by inner resonance instead of outer applause, doubt loses its edge. Setbacks are not verdicts, they're feedback. No longer is the goal to impress, but to fit in. It feels like your work is connected to a story bigger than your own success by invisible threads. As this alignment gets stronger, you will notice another huge change. The people around you will start to rearrange themselves to match the new frequency you give off. In the next sign, we'll talk about how having a purpose can improve your relationships by bringing together like-minded people and letting go of ties that belong to a different time. As soon as you get in line with your purpose, your social life starts to shake like the earth before spring. It used to feel like you had to send invitations, but now they feel like old news. Some people seem to take away the color from your life when you talk to them. There is no pride in it. There is resonance. Your inner frequency has changed, so the orchestra outside of you needs to retune. You start to want to talk to people where being honest is okay, where laughter comes from the belly instead of the mask, and where the silence between words feels good instead of awkward. These cravings become compass points that help you find relationships that give you strength instead of taking it away. Take James, a 55-year-old sales director who used to host loud dinners for clients that made him feel strangely empty. After finding a calling to help at-risk kids, he realized that many of the people he met through networking were only interested in making money. One night, he turned down a usual cocktail get-together and instead went to a poetry reading in the area put on by a former student. There, he met people who were honest about their grief, hope, and creativity. He was shocked by how deep those conversations were. In just a few months, his weekend plans went from corporate golf to community storytelling circles. He didn't cut ties out of anger. The old ties just broke because they didn't fit the shape of his changing soul anymore. Jung thought that each relationship shows us something about ourselves. When we grow out of an inner story, the outside mirror breaks, pushing us to make new reflections. In small ways, you may notice this. Phone calls that used to last a long time turn into polite check-ins, and chance meetings with strangers turn into deep conversations. You start to notice signs of relational hunger, like feeling tired after small talk or energized after real sharing, and you follow them like breadcrumbs back to yourself. This change can be both good and bad. Some friendships may end, and family members may see the change as cold or distant. But when you honor your truth, you learn to care about people who are on different paths. You learn to bless people who aren't with you anymore from afar. In their place come friends who will both push you and love you, who will make room for your dreams while holding you accountable. People you connect with can help you grow by reflecting back the parts of you that are growing instead of the ones that you have shed. As your relationship garden grows again, something else changes. Everyday moments become more meaningful in a way that was once only possible at important times. This newfound love for simple pleasures will become both the reward and the fuel of your golden age in the next sign. At some point, the extraordinary stops being far away or big and starts to slowly unfold in the little things we used to rush past. The sound of birds singing when you wake up makes you feel blessed. In the morning light, sitting with a warm cup of coffee turns into a ritual of being present. As you stop trying to get approval from other people, a deeper sense of satisfaction takes its place. This is the kind of satisfaction that you don't earn through praise, but rather feel deep inside. Maria, a 48-year-old former marketing executive, used to judge her worth by how many deadlines she met and how many titles she earned. But because she was burned out, she quit her job and started taking care of a small garden behind her house. At first, the quiet scared her, but soon she was interested in the moon phases and how the light moved across her sunflowers in new ways every day. Over time, her sense of worth changed from achievement to awareness. She felt like she had enough in her backyard, which was something she hadn't felt in years. Carl Jung said that the way to be whole is not to try to find the extraordinary, but to make the ordinary holy again. This is called individuation, the change from wanting to catch to loving. When you start to enjoy the sounds of a child laughing, your own breathing, or a slow walk through the leaves in the fall, you realize that life has been giving you magic the whole time. You just had to slow down and notice. This appreciation is not being passive, is waking up. This is the soul realizing that happiness doesn't always come in the form of success or drama. It can come barefoot, on a breeze, or in the form of a smile from someone who really sees you. You no longer seek peak experiences. Instead, you honor peak awareness. Deeper shades of peace, gratitude, and quiet joy appear on your emotional palette. When you become more aware of this, something powerful changes. The present moment is enough. It's not empty. This stillness is full of stuff. You are better able to handle the changes in your life with openness and grace when you are happy inside. We'll talk about how this calm presence makes us more willing to grow, change, and face it, not as a threat, but as a way to become more fully ourselves in the next sign. Some people used to see change as a threat because it could upset the fragile balance they worked so hard to get. But as you get older, things start to change. You become less afraid. You no longer see change as a storm ripping through your life. Instead, you see it as a wave that wants you to rise and ride with it. You start to see life not as a set path that you need to control, but as an evolving river that wants you to join in, not fight it. Let's look at Elijah, who is 55 years old and has worked in finance for 30 years. The person he held on to broke apart when his company cut back and he lost his job. At first, he was sad. Then, out of the blue, he picked up painting again, which was a hobby from his childhood that had been buried under spreadsheets and board meetings for a long time. He signed up for an art class, not sure if he should or not. After only a year, he was showing his work in local galleries. What he thought was failure turned out to be a new direction. It wasn't just a new hobby for Elijah. He also found a hidden part of himself that he had been looking for. Jung thought that what we fight against not only stays with us, but also hurts our minds. Growth isn't always easy, but it's always necessary. We can get to parts of ourselves we didn't know existed when we step into the unknown and face our fears with curiosity. You start to understand that every challenge is like a mirror that shows you both your limits and your ability to go beyond them. As soon as you say yes to something new, your life starts to talk to you through new signs, dreams, and calls. Letting go of the past and being open to what comes next are both parts of accepting change. It means learning to hear the invitation that is hidden in the pain. Now, you don't have to know everything. Just trust what's happening. You become faster, more flexible, and more alive. Your superpower is the courage to grow and move forward, even when you don't know what to do. It sets you free from the chains of predictability and invites you to join the exciting dance of becoming. As we move on to the next sign, you'll see how being open to change creates a new relationship with time, where being there is more important than knowing what will happen. You can feel the clock's power slipping away some days, like the hands can't tell you what's most important. Still, minutes go by. There's still deadlines. Still, your heartbeat slows down from quick ticks to steady beats. The seventh sign of your golden age is this small change, the birth of timelessness. You don't have to run after the future like a train about to leave or dig through the past for approval tickets that you lost. Instead, you step onto the present's platform and realize that the train is inside you, moving at the speed of your awareness. Take Harini, a 51-year-old businesswoman whose life is based on tight schedules and quarterly goals. She had to take a week off because of a normal health scare. In the stillness, she saw something amazing. The morning light on the wall of her kitchen looked like it was changing colors of gold. Instead of scrolling through her phone, she brewed her tea and heard bird songs she had forgotten. For no reason, she felt tears of gratitude come to her eyes. When she went back to work, she changed her schedule so that she could take a slow walk by the river every afternoon. Even though profits stayed the same, she felt richer in ways that a spreadsheet couldn't show. Carl Jung wrote that times when time stops and the eternal starts to seep in are good for the mind. These places have meanings that go beyond work, like a child's unplanned hug, the smell of rain on warm pavement, or a conversation that lasts past midnight. These times help us remember that life is not a ladder to climb, but a garden to enjoy. Priorities change when you go from time-bound striving to timeless savoring. Experiences, not things, are now used to show that someone is wealthy. It's more fun to learn a new song on the guitar than to buy the newest gadget. It becomes more valuable to have a conversation that helps you understand something better than to collect titles. Because every breath is holy, you start to live as if it were holy. Timelessness also makes purpose clear. When you stay in the present moment, you are guided by an inner compass instead of time in the outside world. Instead of urgency, decisions are made based on alignment. Being present is the most valuable thing you can have, and it makes every relationship, task, and dream better. As you enter your golden age, keep this in mind. The gift is not how long you live, but how fully you live each moment. Let the present moment be bright and wide, and watch as your purpose rises naturally from the gentle beat of your own heart that will never change. Sometimes it happens quietly and without warning. That's when you realize that the life you've built isn't just a list of events, but a tapestry of choices that have been shaped by your inner truth. This is what it means to embrace your golden age, a conscious return to meaning, a deep commitment to what really matters. You're not trying to impress everyone with speed or perfection at this point. You choose to live in line with your values, your gifts, and the knowledge that you will be happiest when you are present and know your purpose. Imagine that Joseph, a 58-year-old teacher, just started painting after putting off his artistic urges for decades. At first, it was just a way to relax after a long day of school. Over time, though, his brush strokes turned into confessions. Through color and texture, he said what words couldn't, and in doing so, he reconnected with a part of himself that had been buried under responsibility for a long time. His small studio turned into a holy place, not for ambition, but for being himself. Having a hobby that makes you happy is not what it means to do something that makes you happy. It means that you are coming home. Carl Jung said that growth rolls in a spiral instead of a straight line. We keep coming back to the same themes, but each time we understand them better. Writing in a journal, meditating, or just being still can help you see how you're changing without judging it. They become soul mirrors that show you not what you lack, but what you have always had inside. When you think about things, patterns start to show up, old wounds get better, and your purpose becomes more clear. You start to feel like your life has not been random, but has been mysteriously and beautifully led. You have to be okay with change if you want to fully enjoy your golden age. Because you need to be brave to grow. You have to let go of identities that no longer serve you. You might change jobs and old relationships, or move to a place with less noise. These changes on the outside are a sign of an inner rebirth. They are not signs of loss, but of alignment. This part of life isn't about starting over just to be different. It's about finding things again because they are true. When you stop waiting for life to start and start valuing the life that is already inside you, you will enter your golden age. When you do that, the world starts to treat you with the same grace, giving you a sense of purpose that can only come from being clear and trusting yourself. A golden age is not a finish line where confetti falls and all questions go away. Every day, it's a living path that asks you to pick truth over conformity and purpose over habit. Every morning is an initiation that asks you if you will live as the true self you have spent decades uncovering, or if you will slip back into the masks of yesterday. Carl Jung would tell us that the self is both a place to go and a person to walk with. It is like an inner guide who pushes you forward while walking quietly next to you. When you pay attention to that guide, growth stops being a chore and starts to feel like breathing. Think about how a river flows. It doesn't flow in a straight line. It turns, gets deeper, and sometimes overflows, making the channels it flows through more interesting. The same thing happens in your golden age. During some seasons, you'll need to be creative and make big choices, while during others, you'll need to be still and think, letting your wisdom settle. Both of these movements are holy. The point isn't to get to a perfect state, but to stay open to how life shapes you. trusting that each curve brings you closer to your core. When you live from this essence, your outer world almost automatically changes. You can make better decisions when you compare them to your deepest values instead of passing trends. When people choose relationships out of love instead of fear of being alone, they become more real. Even problems feel like they have a purpose, like teachers in disguise. When you're fulfilled, you don't feel a rush of excitement, but rather a steady glow that makes everyday things like making dinner, helping a younger coworker, or watching the sun move across the floor seem quietly extraordinary. But the most valuable thing about the golden age is the unwavering happiness that comes from realizing you are on the right side of things. The inner critic changes into an inner ally who encourages exploration instead of pushing for perfection. Self-compassion is like practicing an instrument. You get better at it until being kind comes naturally. When you trust yourself, you can face the world with open hands instead of closed fists, knowing that whatever comes your way will help you grow. Remember that the golden age is not a period of time, but a state of mind that is ready to grow, let go, celebrate, and start over. Take on each day as if you were a sculptor of meaning, and watch how life gives you chances that are perfectly shaped to help you keep awakening. By doing this, you not only unlock potential once, but over and over again. This helps you create a life that is successful by outside standards and full of the quiet, long-lasting gold of inner fulfillment. If this message made you feel something, don't end it here. The next video will show you more about how to heal, grow, and find out more about yourself. It could be the big step forward your soul has been waiting for. Right now, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join a group of people who are committed to truth, change, and real inner growth. You're not the only one going this way. I'll see you in the next video, where we keep becoming the people we were always meant to be.